Commentary Booth is a show for media lovers by media lovers just like you. If you want to support the show, go to pariomagazine.com.au. Welcome to the Commentary Booth, where we watch and, you guessed it, commentate on the week that was in movies and TV. I'm your host and play-by-play commentator, Jamie Apps, and each week I'll be joined by a rotating cast of colour commentators to help you find your next viewing treat. This week I'm joined by a freelance social commentator who lists their favourite movie as American Psycho and favourite TV show as Peaky Blinders. Welcome back to the show, Blake Robinson.
Jamie Apps, thank you for having me.
How's everything going? You went to the races over the weekend. Any big wins?
Did. Everest, Day of Days. Yeah, I did. I actually picked the winner of the Everest, Geiger Kick. So I'm really just starting to get into my work now for Spring Carnival. Timing is right. It's good to see. It's some luck coming my way. It's what we want.
Peak Blake work season.
This is where I do my best work, springtime. So yeah,
hopefully
I'm up and about this week.
Hopefully there's a few dry races.
Oh, I won't back it. It's just horrendous. This La Nina caper.
Oh, it's so over it. And apparently it looks like it's going to be around for another year.
It's disgusting, bro. That's just.
I feel bad for all the people in the flood zones, though. They've copped it so bad.
Even like places you never thought would or could flood. You're seeing on the news of flood. I'm like, what? Like, nowhere safe.
Yeah, like this weekend, like middle of Melbourne flooded. I was like, what?
Yeah, I know. Like the Marilyn Monroe River that runs alongside like Flemington Racecourse was like coming up like into the stables. Yeah. I was like, oh my God, nowhere is safe.
Yeah, you'd think you're in the biggest city in the state, you'd be fine, but nope, apparently not.
Yeah, I don't know. Or it's a trade-off, isn't it, with Mother Nature? You either bushfires or we've got this horrendous flood situation. I don't know what's worse. Can you compare the two? Bushfires are probably the scariest thing on the planet, in my opinion.
Yeah, I feel like, at least with flooding, you kind of get a bit of a warning that it's coming. Whereas bushfires, like, they can just come and change directions at the drop of a hat and then you're in big trouble.
Yeah, I've never been in either situation, so I can't speak. I'm sure there's people out there who've been stuck in both. People just cop the worst luck, hey?
Yep. Yeah, I don't know. That's Australia for you. You can't really.
That is Australia for you. If it doesn't buy you, it will burn you or drown you, I guess.
Yep.
Anyway.
So then on to the stuff we've been checking out this week.
Good stuff
we checked out two very much anticipated movie releases. First up, we're going to review the newest entry into the Halloween franchise, Halloween Ends. And then we will shift across to Netflix to review Blonde, the somewhat biographical film about Hollywood icon Marilyn Monroe.
So, it's a doozy. Couple of doozies here.
Yep. Diving into Halloween Ends first. As I mentioned, the final entry into this rebooted Halloween trilogy.
Yeah.
Which began in 2018, then continued in 2021 with Halloween Kills, and we're now back with Halloween Ends, all three directed by David Gordon Green. Overall, what did you think of this entry?
Unnecessary, but entertaining.
Okay.
I'll leave it at that.
You seem a little bit higher on it than I am.
Yeah. Oh, look, if I obviously it wasn't a work of art in it. Look, we're fans of the Halloween franchise here on this show. That's no lie. We've followed this right the way through. I would have been happy if it ended on the reboot Halloween, the first one in 2018. I would have been happy if that was it. The second one was, here we go. How are they gonna drag this out? And they've obviously remade these with a trilogy in mind. But
I don't think they have. I think that's been the issue.
You reckon they've
I don't think they had
too much money off the first one and thought, hang on a minute.
Yeah, like I think they did Halloween. It did incredibly well. So then they went, let's record 2 back to back. And then that didn't happen, obviously, but then they recorded them in quick succession.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think they had a 3-movie plot in mind. Like, all 3 feel separate and disconnected.
For
and
sure.
I feel like they just got progressively worse across the 3.
It's like, it's hard to describe, but with like when you say they got worse, because it's just got like that. Halloween Ends is one of the most preposterous films I've ever seen. It was barbaric. A couple of times I'm like, how is this going to end? Is it going to be Michael Myers that gets killed? Or then sometimes I was like, maybe that Laurie Strode is going to get killed, then Halloween ends. Like, it's not, like, we're not going to see the end of Michael Myers.
Well,
then
I thought, I felt they probably would have been well served to kill off Laurie, because obviously you can't keep bringing back Jamie Lee Curtis because you know what she looks like and she's getting old. Whereas Mike Myers, he can be played by anyone because you just put a mask on them. So if they killed off Laurie, end the story that way, which is like Laurie versus Michael, that ends. And then you can reboot it again with the same Michael, but against someone else.
Yeah, well, I don't know. There's a few times in this film I had no idea what was going to happen. Like, I was like, all right, Laurie's going to die here and we're going to get another 7 movies. Then Michael picks up a protege of sorts, an apprentice. And I was like, oh, so here we go. It's going to be like Michael Myers is going to die, but now his little apprentice friend is going to carry on his legacy. Then I was... then now I've just like got a thought like, well, Laurie's granddaughter isn't dead. Like, she's gonna like skip town and she's gonna find new demons in another town, another boogie monster.
Mm-hmm.
Is this the end of it? I don't know. But this is the end maybe of Michael Myers, maybe. But I don't know if this is the end of Halloween. Like, I just can't see these guys stopping here. They can't. There's no way.
Yeah, I know. Blumhouse and David Gordon Green have both said it's the end of them working on Halloween because they only had the rights for a 3-movie set. But with the box office reception over the weekend, I can't see Universal letting this go away.
That's what I mean. I wouldn't be surprised if, what's her name? Laurie's granddaughter?
Allison.
Alison, I would not be surprised if they do something with her. But like I said, this has been too popular and it's obviously a money-making machine for them. I don't know how they can just stop making these movies.
Well, the budget is estimated to be between $20 and $30 million for just Halloween Ends.
It's not much, really.
Over the weekend, it made $58.4 million worldwide. And in the US, it's available on Paramount streaming free. So...
Hectic.
They've basically made double their budget, and why would they not continue it? Like for Universal, that would be stupid.
That's not singing up. Like, I don't know how much I want to give away of this, but what was I going to say? Oh yeah, I was going to mention something. Did you feel it was like when Mike Myers teamed up with his little apprentice friend and they started tag teaming? It just felt like a Batman versus Superman, like all-star movie, like a Fantastic Four, like Avengers sort of setup. I was like, this is a bit weird. Like, this is taking a turn. Like, it's almost childish now.
Yeah, like for me, this was not a Halloween movie, just because
it wasn't scary at all. And saying that, I think the first one was a bit creepy, but compared to like when I was, I don't know if it was I was young, but when I was a kid watching the original movies, I was freaking terrified.
Yeah, I think
scary movies.
This trilogy definitely leans more into like
gory. It's
gory slasher.
It's very violent.
Like
they're very
not trying to scare you as much
because they definitely aren't scary.
Yeah, it just tries to sort of be creepy and unnerving, not necessarily like jump scare.
But it does still knock on the door of that like piss tape horror where it's like just so comically bad, but it's not too cheesy. Whereas like remember that Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie that came out recently? Like,
the
that
Netflix one.
like,
Yep.
I was like, what the hell is this? Whereas Halloween still has that I'm going to say class to it, where it's not a complete piss take, but at the same time it sort of is. And like, the ending,
I thought
just
some of the dialogue
confirms
was really bad.
Yeah, yeah, I don't know.
Especially
It just
like
felt like
the townspeople when they were confronting Laurie at the grocery store, and then the lady that confronts Corey in the bar. Like, I get that your son died, but
there's just a lot of loose ends
way
in
over
this
the top
film, I
for
think. A lot of
4 years later.
unnecessary avenues they've added in with no context or no like if they were going to do that family at the start who lost their son and then the lady reappears in the bar, like they just sort of teased that and not left it. Then she just pops up in the bar later on, like, and that was sort of it.
Yep.
Well, I thought that was going to be like a big story, like because they were that full opening scene and like the leadway into the film, and that was sort of it for them. There was no backstory, nothing later on. Yeah, like I said, there's a lot of loose ends in it, a lot of avenues they've tried to go down to make something, and like they've almost, like you said, tried to make it like a standalone film, like all three sort of have. They're like Simpsons episodes, really. Like they do carry on, but at the same time, they're their own episode.
Yeah, and like I was saying, it didn't feel like a Halloween. Like we had that team up, which is so un-Michael Myers. Like he's always just been like this solo.
That's another thing.
Unstoppable, like killing machine.
Did you for a second?
He's
think
barely
that
even
that
in the
could
movie.
He's not. No. Did you think for a second that could be his grandson or a family member, Corey?
No,
because he chooses not to kill him. Because I started thinking, I was like, hang on, how could this? And I think they were trying to make us think that at one stage.
No, I think what they were aiming for there was like when Michael looks him in the eyes, he sees evil like in him.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, hang on. This is...
So you're saying Mike Myers recognises evil and he's like, hey, I'm not going to kill this guy, I'll keep him. But then I was like, weird that he's hiding out in the tunnels. Like,
for 4 years.
That was like, everything was just unrealistic there as well.
Yeah, it was...
But are we being too real here to think a slasher movie has to be realistic?
Maybe. But for me, it
felt kind of like... But...
It felt more like a Conjuring movie where it's like supernatural possession rather than
there was a lot of possession.
Halloween. Just I'm a dude chasing after someone. I'm going to kill anyone that gets in my way.
Yeah, I think they just went so far from the point 3 movies in for the original Halloween. Like Halloween was barely celebrated or mentioned or shown. Like actual Halloween night, like there was hardly no kids dressed up, sequence. Hardly no trick or treating. They've completely lost touch with like the original idea of Halloween.
Well, I think there's like 3 days shown in the movie before we even get to Halloween night.
Yeah.
And then that's when we get
to... like probably like a month in like a month sequence, not 3 days of real life time.
Yeah. So yeah, like this one set 4 years after Halloween Kills, and it's basically Michael has disappeared. Laurie's basically all of a sudden just like fine with life and just moving on, and I'm not going to worry about Michael anymore. I'm just going to be happy-go-lucky homemaker. I was like,
at peace with
in the last 2 movies, she's been like totally broken. She can't go out of her house. She's turning her house into basically a big death trap. But then this one, she's suddenly just like, whatever.
Yeah, and they didn't really touch on that. Like, what happened to her for this to happen? I know her daughter died, but there was what was the moment on this? She's just like you said, she had a fortress, and her life revolved around like stopping Michael Myers. Then all of a sudden, she's just living this suburban old lady life. Yeah,
and then
they skipped a lot.
What did you think of like the opening sequence with we mentioned the Corey, the babysitter, and the kid? Like, I thought that was a great way to open. Like, that was one of the most compelling parts of the movie.
Have been sort of good like that. Like, they do something pretty gnarly at the start, then they drop the iconic like theme music. Like, I love that. But like I said, it was good. But we just needed to know more about that situation, that family, or they sort of just dropped it.
I thought it was such like a cool opening. Like, that was, I think the two best parts of the movie are that opening sequence and then the showdown at the end. But I loved how the opening one kind of flips the whole
that was cool in the kitchen at the
babysitter
end.
death like on its head. Like normally when you see a babysitter in a horror movie, you know the babysitter is getting murdered by the killer.
Yeah.
And then it just like flips it and makes him the killer. I was like, oh, that's cool. But that kid got what he deserved. That kid was a spoiled brat.
He was acting a damn fool. What was I gonna? Oh, did you actually think Laurie would kill herself?
I thought she might. I thought that was going to be like, oh, it ends on the most like, bleh. Would have been super unsatisfying if she did, but it was a cool little like tricked you.
Oh, then when she got like sort of caught with a knife in hand, I was like, no, I hate it when that happens to people in movies. Like, you know what's going on, but the other characters don't. You're like, you just want to tell them. Oh, it was like frustrating for me. I don't know why I got so frustrated over that.
When she got caught there, I was like, oh, maybe they're going to turn Allison into like the new Mike Myers type, where she's just like out for revenge against everyone.
I never thought that would happen. Another thing too, like I mentioned, the kitchen sequence, like the scene at the end, it would have been, I thought for a second maybe Michael kills Laurie while he's dying and they both wipe each other out at the same time.
They both go out.
I thought that was, and then Laurie with like her fingertip flips the fridge over.
Yeah, because it's so easy to flip a fridge,
like a double stored fridge. But I thought just the book and the movie, like the whole town, like when they put him on the roof, I was like, you
parade him through town,
like, carry him like he's the queen, like a procession through the through the town to go grind him up. I was like, oh my god. It's like, this is never
like it's a very definitive ending. Like he's dead.
Yeah.
Like there's no
doubt he's coming
back.
There's no
messing about there.
Sure. Is that like a sign or their way of saying that this is done?
I think that is just them. Like
there was nothing to indicate like his mask was like didn't fall off or get put aside.
Yeah. I think this is them just like giving this trilogy a very definitive ending.
Myers. Or, hang on, you know what we could have? A prequel to Michael Myers.
As a kid and like why he's so messed up.
You just cut out there.
That would make sense.
You just cut out there.
But,
I didn't hear what you said.
Oh, yeah. Like, I think, if we just like do a prequel with like him as a kid and why he's so messed up.
Yeah, exactly. I think that could be a good avenue for them to go because the whole time, like every time he had his mask off, I was I just wanted to see his face. I wanted to know more about unmasked Michael Myers. But as growing up, he's probably obviously from a troubled home, had problems. Like, that'd be cool. I'd love that. Then it sort of starts or ends at the start of like, the originals. That'd be cool. I wouldn't rule that out.
Yeah, that'd be a cool, different play on it rather than just continuing the story.
Because I can't see them stopping here. But like, they obviously have to stop with the Halloween storyline, but the prequel could
it's just going to have to be fully rebooted because this trilogy is contained and has this very definitive ending. Like, he's gone, he's not coming back.
I love Michael Myers. He's one of my all-time favorite movie characters, and I love like the franchise, but I really hope no one else touches it.
And I was like, I can see what the film was going for and like this trilogy as a whole was going for, but I don't think it worked. Like, outside the first 2018 Halloween, the next two didn't hit the same way.
I think it's just popular because it's popular. It's just a well-known brand.
Yep.
Like, because the movies themselves aren't good enough to be this popular. It's just because it's Halloween, everyone grew up watching it and loves it.
Yeah.
Like, you wouldn't just go watch this movie if you're not a fan of like the series or whatnot. Right, people are going to go see it regardless of how bad they get told it is, just because they have to see it.
Yeah, they have to go and see if it is as bad as everyone's saying. Yeah. But I think Halloween in 2018, they were trying to tell a story of Laurie dealing with her own personal demons and trauma from her experiences. And I think
Yeah,
they did a really good job.
New
They
trend
really
of
did a good
telling
job
the
of
victim
that.
side.
And then,
But then they sort of got the bug and like, oh, right, yeah, let's run away with it.
and then Halloween Kills moves into showing how your trauma can spread out and affect those around you, like in the community. And then that brings out like really obvious moments of violence and trauma in the community. Like people are like expressing their hatred and anger over certain things in violent ways. And then this one goes on to how if you harbor trauma and demons inside you, you can then subconsciously pass that on to the next generation, which then leads to more deep-rooted trauma, which eats away at people inside, even though from the outside they look like happy and fine.
Yeah, that's a real deep dive way of looking at it.
Yeah, and then that like leads to like people looking for monsters or boogeymen to blame for everything that's going wrong in their life, and I think that's like what Corey symbolizes. But like, I can see where they were aiming, but I don't think any of those elements hit in this movie. Like they all feel just a bunch of things jammed in all of a sudden. They didn't feel earned. In the three movies.
That's like I said. They just tried to go for like have too many different avenues and cram it all into one thing with not much like context to each one.
Yeah, and like I think that could be a case of I found out there was 4 writers on this movie. It's like
what, sorry?
4 writers.
Yeah, I was
which is
opening
way
credits. There was
too
so
many.
many different. Yeah, there was a lot of like writers, producers. I'm like, oh, all right. Everyone just wanted a piece of the pie.
Totally a case of like too many cooks in the kitchen.
Trophy. Yeah, 100%.
And yeah, they've all thrown their little ideas in, and none of them connect or feel like they earned what they were aiming for.
Yeah, I don't think this is going to be the end of Michael Myers appearing in movies, but it's the end of this particular Halloween franchise from Blumhouse. Let's put it that way.
In terms of,
no doubt someone will pick it up.
Yeah. In terms of the body count, did you count how many people died in this movie?
Oh, no, I didn't.
So overall, there was 18 people died in this movie.
I would have thought it's not as many as previous movies, that's for sure,
though. Well, Michael's kill count this is a record low.
Record low?
Yep. So 18 people died, but Michael only killed 3.
Yeah, that's piss weak.
Which is, again, highlighting this is not a Halloween movie. This is some other horror movie that just has, like, a Mike Myers cameo for 10 minutes.
The kid put up premiership numbers.
He killed 15 people.
Real quick.
Yeah, you get...
He killed 15, is that what you said?
Yeah, we get a couple die in a Jeep in a flashback, so, yeah. Then there's the lady that hangs herself from the outside of her house.
Are we counting them, are we?
The homeless man is killed by Corey. Doug.
The kid.
The doctor and the nurse.
She was annoying as fuck.
Deb, Billy, Stacy, Ron, Terry, the shitty bullies who are in the school band. Like, since when are school band kids the bullies?
Hey,
they're the ones getting picked on.
Yeah, they had it coming for him.
Yeah. Terry, Margot, Miss Cunningham, Corey's mum gets murdered. The radio dude.
Yeah, he sucked too.
The receptionist at the radio. Then Corey, and then Michael himself. It's like, so 18 people died. Corey kills, about 12 or 13. Laurie kills 1 or 2.
What about the little love story between the cop and Laurie?
That was cool. I liked that scene. That scene in the grocery store was cool. The rest of it...
Oh, what was at the end? Maybe a little rom-com of them going to see the cherry blossoms in Japan.
Yeah. What did you think of the love story between Corey and Allison as well? Again, that didn't work. No, it didn't work. I thought it was funny how that already fully set it up. And it was like meant to be. But then
she put him into that position, then she's like trying to backpedal, like, sorry, I was wrong. She's like, just lit the fire and walked away.
But then, like, Alison is, like, immediately head over heels in love and, like, just everything's forgotten. She just uproots her life and is like, I'm moving out.
They fell for each other pretty quick.
Like, no, too quick.
Yeah, like I said, my biggest takeaway is there was too many different ins and outs, and they were trying to push too many different storylines and with too many loose ends.
Yeah, like I felt it had cool, graphic, gory moments, which you kind of expect from a Halloween, but it didn't have. I didn't think it equaled the graphic kills we got in Halloween Kills. I thought that had some of the coolest ones.
Yeah,
and then just the crappy writing. This movie was never going to get over the bad writing. Like, it was so bad that nothing they could do would have made it okay.
Oh, and showing scenes and using footage from the original movie to the first Halloween of this, the 2018 one, I thought was pretty
cheap. They're just trying to cash in on nostalgia, and it's only 3 years old.
Yeah, 100%. That didn't work at all. I was like, this is crap. Like the prison footage, the bus crashing footage, some of like the death scenes, like the kid on the spike. Was that in Halloween Kills? I was like, this is crap. Like, this is just taken away from it. Yeah, like you said, they're trying to catch in on nostalgia, but it didn't work at all. They completely missed it.
So yeah, like, I was not happy with this at all. I'm glad I didn't have to pay for it.
I had no expectations, man. It was entertaining, yes. I needed to see it, yes, but it was preposterous.
I'm never going to watch it again.
I'm glad it's over. I'm not. Yeah, I don't know. I am glad it's over because I can. If they did a fourth film, it'd be horrendous.
Yeah, this one was already terrible. It's only going to get worse. So hopefully next time, if we're going to get another like trilogy from someone else,
yeah,
I hope they plan the trilogy out before they start.
Yeah, like it's must see. It's a must see movie, like to end the series. Entertaining.
If you're a Halloween fan, if not,
don't
waste your time.
You got to be familiar and a fan of the first two. Otherwise, don't bother. You'll just waste your time.
Even then, like even if you're a massive fan, just wait. Like, don't give them money and don't encourage them to make more.
Here's me going on a Friday night, paying money at the cinema, buying snacks, encouraging that fourth film.
Was the cinema busy?
Nah, I got there. There was like one other couple there, then a couple other people started coming, but that was late on a Friday night. But I was expecting it to be packed, to be honest with you.
Especially, late on a Friday is when you want to see it.
Late on a Friday night, just came out. Yeah, I was expecting it to be packed.
Yeah, I think...
I don't know. They're probably going to leave it in the cinemas until end of October anyway for Halloween, you'd assume. They'll get their money's worth, don't you worry.
Yeah, it'll be in there, I would assume, until the end of Halloween. Unless there's... I don't think there's any big movies coming out this week.
Yeah. Anyway, speaking of absolutely preposterous films...
Yeah, so next up, Blonde, 2022 fictional take on the life and career of Marilyn Monroe, which is now streaming on Netflix.
See, I didn't know this was, until the end, this was based on a novel, a fictional reimagining of Marilyn's life.
Yep.
Yeah, so that's sort of...
I went in thinking it was going to be like a very
I thought this was
true-to-life biography, but it's apparently
definitely wasn't.
A fictional retake of...
it was pretty ridiculous. Wouldn't watch it with your mum.
Guess who did that?
It's not a mum watcher, this one.
I did. That was weird.
Oh, well.
I did exactly that.
It was borderline X-rated. Let's put it that way. She was a raunchy one.
Oh, yeah.
But as an Ana de Armas fan, I was all for it. Loving every minute of it.
Yeah, like, overall, I enjoyed the movie.
It was cool. It was very arty.
Oh, super artistic. And
I don't know what they filmed it with, but was it filmed using like a film camera?
It was. No. So the plan was to film
There was scenes in black and white. There was, I think, half the movie was in black and white. I think up to
most
the point. I think it was up until the point of mid 1950s when colour TV actually came out. That is when they flipped over to colour. Is that right? Did I get that
pretty much?
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I know the original plan was to film it on 16mm film,
Yeah.
but
So it
apparently
wasn't.
Netflix have a mandate where everything has to be filmed on digital, so it's easier to put it on their service. So it was eventually filmed on digital cameras, but obviously in post they've put on film grain and effects to make it look like it was on film.
Yeah, that must have been what got me.
And it has all the
was,
aspect ratios of the time. Like it goes from the box
It was very well made.
to then goes out wide when it is like offset or off camera.
I just think this is no one's been watching it. I feel like so it hasn't been very popular. I was very keen for it to come out for like 6 months after I seen the trailer for various reasons. Then I don't know, has the Dharma hype just completely destroyed everything else on Netflix?
Oh yeah, totally. Like, yeah, I enjoyed this one. Like, I wouldn't say it was amazing, and I wouldn't say it's something I'm probably going to ever watch again. Like,
You wouldn't watch it again, but
I was kind of just like,
I was immersed in it. Like, I didn't even bother taking any notes for this. I was just loving it. I was really enjoying it. It definitely wasn't a phone scroller, but it could easily be a phone scroller. If you got your phone out and sort of lost interest in it, you're gone. Like, because it was a bit slow, so to speak, and you did sort of have to pay a bit of attention. But
yeah,
I think,
and there are a few moments that I thought I didn't like. Like, I didn't
I really enjoyed
the whole like abortion, speaking to the baby was a bit weird, but like we said, it's a super artistic rendition of the story. It's not here's a straight run of the mill biopic of the major events in her life.
Like, I have a pretty sound, I guess, like maybe above average knowledge of Marilyn Monroe's life, I guess. But I found myself Googling a lot throughout the film when I needed to double check things.
Especially with some of the characters, because they don't.
I was like, did that actually happen? And I was like, I'm sure that didn't happen. But yeah, then at the end, I've realised it was based on a fictional reimagining. So I was like,
yeah, but like,
because the whole time I was curious.
Book is also based on fact. Like, they've pinpointed some key moments to highlight.
Her life was ridiculous, and a lot of the things in this film happened.
Yeah,
I have no doubt she gave JFK wristies while he was on the phone. Yeah, that's a whole other scene. That's Oscar worthy right there.
That's a full on scene.
That was hectic. I was like, they are stepping on coals here with that one. That was.
What did you think of like?
Yeah.
Yeah, like Anna de Armas was amazing. I thought she suited this role like perfectly. Like just looking at her, you're like, yeah, she's Marilyn. Yeah. Crazy.
But they sort of. I've seen people whinging like why they cast her and like, well, wouldn't you cast like a blonde girl? What? Norma Jean wasn't blonde. She was notoriously a brunette that wanted to be this blonde Hollywood showgirl. Yeah. So I thought Anna was the perfect casting.
Yeah. I saw people complaining about her accent, but for me it was fine. I thought she was great.
There's worse. Yeah, she was great. There's worse out there. She's a Spanish girl anyway. What can you expect?
What did you think of like the way they presented some of the male characters? Like they don't ever say their real life names. Like her husband is just known as the playwright. Oh yeah, like those two. There are two people that they do give their proper names to.
I don't know. Is that just being pretty woke about stuff? I guess I don't know. Yeah, like they've never mentioned Joe DiMaggio.
Yeah, they just call him the ex-athlete, or she calls him daddy over and over again, which is
it's a vibe, but it can easily make someone very uncomfortable.
Yeah, like we get the playwright, who's Arthur Miller, played by Adrian Brody. Bobby Carnival plays the ex-athlete, who's Joe DiMaggio.
So when they first introduced Joe DiMaggio, they were out for dinner. Because it didn't really look like him a whole lot. And it was an interesting casting there. It got me guessing. I was like, who's this meant to be? Is this meant to be like a ahead of like a studio or something, and they sort of kept you guessing or let you imagine who it is. And that's the same with
There was a fair few moments
Miller.
where I had to Google, like, who is this person supposed to be?
I think after Miller, they got pretty right. But I was just about to say, I think I've definitely mentioned it on the show numerous times before. Adrian Brody cannot play a bad role. He cannot.
Yeah. Underrated.
It's impossible. Underrated. Well, underappreciated. I love it, and just love how he pops up and everything. Like he was probably the pianist was his big solo performance, but what he's been doing recent years, like support roles, like it was Luca Changretta in Peaky Blinders. He's been in he's always in Wes Anderson films, doing his thing in the background. He's just brilliant over and over again. Yeah, he played a perfect Arthur Miller.
Casper Phillipson as JFK, I thought was pretty good too. Like he nailed the accent.
The accent looked like him a bit too. I think they always
that scene in
JFK,
particular is just like, oof.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, you don't want to be watching with your mum. I thought this is full on. I'm like, surely, like, isn't it doing stuff like that? Like, sort of just like an unspoken agreement to not do, like, to not disrespect
someone that's dead,
especially someone like JFK. But like,
yeah, that's a former president who was assassinated.
Like he is an American. Like not even past presidents. Yeah, like doing stuff like that on screen for like just American icons is, oh God, I thought it's just like an unspoken thing. Like you just don't do. Like there'll be knocks at your door.
Yeah,
it's like, hey, what's
I
going
guess
on
that's
here? Like,
kind of why they
disappear for stuff like this. But it was pretty like I
feel like that's kind of why they say they just call Arthur Miller the playwright, DiMaggio the ex-athlete, and JFK they just call the president. Like they don't actually say their names, but if you know who they're referencing, it's pretty obvious.
I think as well, like because these are all the conspiracies, like the JFK stuff with the Kennedy brothers and Marilyn. Like no one knows what went on. Everyone thinks there was an affair there, but they were only photographed together once, and that was like at a party
in public.
And it was like everyone just like guesses or what happened. So the writers have straight up like, here we go, this is what happened. This is what we're saying happened.
There's a ton of, like we said, based on a fictional book, so there is a ton of like creative liberties that they're able to take with the movie.
Very creative. Another one I thought was very respectful and sort of made up for everything else they did was the ending. I was curious to see how they ended it and how they played out her dying.
Yeah,
because that's probably the biggest conspiracy surrounding Marilyn. Because like everyone thinks the FBI like staged her death and made it look like a suicide and perfectly set out the pills in her bed and everything and like killed her just for like to hush her about the affairs with the Kennedy brothers. But the way they played out was very respectful, and they didn't take that path at all, did they? They completely flipped it.
We didn't get almost like an overhead shot of her like dead on the bed, like we just slowly leave the room and
just a question if she was even dead. I was like, oh, is she just sleeping?
Yeah.
Do you know what that reminded me of? That ending in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Everyone was wondering how that was going to end, but that was like the respectful sort of the real life ending that everyone sort of wanted, and they wished it had happened. It was sort of a script flipper, and I think that sort of is what happened in this as well. They're like, well, the real life situation was a bit tragic, so let's just make it a bit more wholesome and recreate history, I guess, rewrite history.
Yeah, I liked it. What did you think of like the whole abortion, miscarriage elements of it, and like her talking to her baby in her womb and stuff like that?
It's all very confronting. But again, like it's something they obviously wanted to bring awareness to and pay attention to.
Yeah,
I think there was a lot of that throughout this thing. They used their platform to like raise awareness to a lot of current issues and things like that.
I think had they not done the like talking baby in the womb part, I think it would have hit better for me. But like I didn't hate it, but yeah, I think if they just cut out the baby bit, it would have been heaps better and way more impactful if it was like.
But I think they
basically just suggesting that the studio forced her to get an abortion type thing. I think that would be like, whoa, insane.
But
and like super believable in that time.
I've like that's how they all got to where they were back in those days, with doing what the studio had wanted them to do, except pretty much. So I have no doubts all that is pretty accurate, and to be bold to assume otherwise.
Yeah, apparently there's no like evidence that she ever had an abortion, and like her gynecologist stated that she'd never had an abortion, but
those times in Hollywood are so corrupt and so behind the scenes. Like, what do you believe?
Yeah. Again, like it's another one where I think if you want to, like if you're interested in Marilyn Monroe at all, it's worth watching. But yeah, if you don't have like a huge interest in her, I don't think it's a movie that is going to suck you in
for sure.
too much. Like you could easily just be like, nah, 10 minutes in, I'm not liking this.
It's like a lot of like World War II films, or even like movies about the Kennedys. Like most are very entertaining if like that's a topic you're interested in. But there's other people who are not really interested. Like,
yeah, it's not one where you're just going to scroll through on Netflix and like, oh, I'll just chuck this on and be instantly hooked and going to power through, because it's what, like nearly 2.5 hours long.
Yeah,
like,
it went away. Like I said, it was pretty arty. It was a bit of a slow burn, but at the same time, I couldn't take my eyes off it.
Yep.
But I think that's like, this was sort of like the recent Elvis movie as well. Like it was a similar sort of vibe in the fact that like if you love Elvis, you're gonna love this. But at the same time, the purists are gonna pick it apart. Like, yeah, that didn't happen. But just enjoy it for what it is. I think.
I liked Elvis way more than I liked this.
Yeah, well, they were similar, but they were vastly different.
Yep.
But wow, a Baz Luhrmann film about Marilyn Monroe wouldn't be the worst thing ever. Can you imagine how great that would be?
That'd be pretty interesting. That'd be
to
pretty
like
interesting.
Celebrate, because every Marilyn Monroe film is just sad and miserable and just dwells on like her, like, and everyone against her. Because like as popular as she was everyone, like she was attacked by like the media and everyone, wasn't she? Almost like
she was just
Princess
like
Diana situation.
Fine. Like she, in today's day and age, she would be pretty tame and conservative, but in the 40s and 50s, she was outrageous.
She showed ankle, bro.
She showed a lot more than ankle. She showed a lot more than ankle.
And speaking of that, I was about to say, I really enjoyed that scene with the subway over the grate, with the air coming up, blowing the skirt up. Yep. They really dramatised that a lot and made that like a big thing. That was really cool.
Yep.
I like how they paid attention to that. And it wasn't tacky, like they wasn't like they've obviously purposely planted that scene in there and they want to make a big deal out of it because it's like probably her most iconic moment.
Yeah.
But they did a really good job of it. I reckon they paid homage to it nicely, did it justice.
Yep.
Because they could have easily tackied their way out of that one and cheesed it up a bit, but I reckon it was good.
Yeah. I think, I'd love to see a movie about her that like celebrates her achievements and gets away from the tragedy. Like I get it's a tragic story in the end, but we could make this like a celebration of her, and then the final like half hour is like, it's a tragedy that we lost such a great talent so early. But this whole movie is just like, here's all the shit that happened in her life that basically broke her from a child. She was broken the entire time.
Like I mentioned,
she's constantly searching for love.
That's the same.
That's why she calls all her lovers daddy. Like,
yeah. I'd love to imagine like a Gatsby Elvis style Baz Luhrmann piece on Marilyn Monroe. That'd be sick. Yep. Just like celebrate her as the showgirl she was, not this miserable broken girl.
Yeah, and then at the end, just like, and we lost her, and it's crap that we lost someone.
But she's going to outlast humanity, I reckon. Marilyn Monroe as a figure.
Oh yeah, she's going to be remembered forever. Like,
it's huge,
massive.
Well, they had Marilyn Monroe and we have Kim Kardashian, so compare to pair, bruz.
Gross. Can we swap?
Yeah.
Alrighty, so that's everything for this week. What would be your top recommendation for the week?
Well, I've actually told a couple people now to watch Blonde, and they've enjoyed it. It was a cool piece. Like, I'm not going to tell people to go watch Halloween because it's just almost a necessity to watch for Halloween fans, but it's not something I'd be open to recommending to watch. But yeah, Blonde's sick. I was very happy with it.
All right. So for me, honestly, I would say avoid both of these just as a general recommendation for unless you have a massive passion for both, just skip them. If you want to see something really innovative and cool and new, watch Smile. I watched that over the weekend and oh my God, that's fantastic.
Is it? I need to see it. I need to go into the movies to see it.
So good. So good.
Yeah, I really want to see it. Done.
Alrighty. Thank you everyone for listening to the commentary booth. If you enjoyed the show, please remember to rate, review, and subscribe on podcast services and on YouTube. You can follow Blake on Twitter at Captain Crumbs, and you can follow me on social media at Jamie Ups Media and at Pario Magazine. The Commentary Booth is a fan-funded production of Jamie Apps Media. You can support the podcast alongside our magazine, Pario Magazine, on Patreon at patreon.com/Jamie Apps Media. The following people supported at the community support group level or higher, and you cannot fathom how incredibly appreciative we are for their support. Brian and June Hart, Blake Robinson, Rena Renee, Courtney Paulson, Darren Hatcliffe, Jackson Carr, and Tracy Apps.